The Elder Scrolls Online released all the way back in 2014, and since then I have put a little over 1000 hours into the game. My main character was a stamina necromancer on the Xbox version, and I ended up with around 640 hours on him. But not too long ago I switched over to PC and have about 380 hours logged. But here's the problem. In those 380 hours on PC, I have done practically nothing. When I say nothing, I mean I've only completed like 3 of the starter zones and that is it. But surely it shouldn't take me almost 400 hours to complete a couple of starter zones. So what have I been doing with that time? Well, mostly I've just been doing dungeons and farming for gear for builds that I didn't even use, as I had no real motivation to try catch up with the progress I made on the character that I had on console. And so with that, here we are. I have set myself a goal where I 100% each zone before moving on to the next one, as well as setting myself some additional goals. But before I explain what they are, let's first create my character for the series. I started planning for this challenge 10 or so days before I even created my character. The first thing I had to figure out was what my character was going to be. So I created 4 separate spin wheels that would randomly choose my race, class, alliance, and finally the alliance story that I have to play through first. The spin wheel came out with an Imperial for the race, Warden for the class, Aldmeri Dominion for the alliance, and finally the Ebonheart Pact for the first alliance that I have to play through. After creating my character's appearance, I had one thing left to do, and that was give him a name. I'm not very good at coming up with good names, but I came up with Felurian Valentius. I also made a backstory for him, but it's too long to explain right now, but the basic version of it is that he was an Imperial that was raised by a Bosma tribe, hence the mix between a Bosma and Imperial name. So now that we are about to break out of Coldharbour, let us quickly go over what we have planned to do when we get out, or in other words, the goals for the series. The goals are as follows. I have to 100% each zone, which includes all zone story quests, find all the way shrines, point of interests, striking locales, set stations, and sky shards in every zone. Catch every rare fish, which I'm already dreading, defeat every world boss, clear every delve, public dungeon, dolmen and everything else on the map, find at least one of every antiquity, reach max level for every available skill lines that I have access to, get max level for all the companions, buy every house that can be purchased with gold, which means if my adding up was correct, then in order to buy all the current houses that are available to purchase with gold, it would cost 38,134,000 gold. I have to collect every set item for the zone before I can move on. I also want to get every other type of set item as well as recipes, star pages and furniture plans, but I think I'd rather stream going for all of them in the future. As for the amount of set items I already had when starting, well, I had collected 1,390 set items out of the current total of 10,145, which is 13.7% done so far. Finally, I want to get every achievement that I can possibly get. I say this because there may be a few that will be impossible for me to do, such as becoming the Emperor in PvP. I know I haven't got the skill for this as I have never really got into the PvP before. As you can see, I only have 5,405 achievement points out of the current maximum of 68,320, which is only 7.91%. So as you can see, I have a lot to get done as I want to try and get at least 90% of the achievements done in the game. This list of goals may get updated in the future if any new content gets added to the base game zones. I do just quickly want to say that this whole idea was inspired by Frostbreak, who has made content like this over on his channel, but I was also inspired by both Dark Moon and Lord Knabble, who are both currently doing a zone lock type video series for World of Warcraft on their channels. If you are interested in checking out their videos, then the channels will be linked down in the description. Anyway, after getting out of my cell, I made it through Coldharbour with help from Lewis and a man named Cadwell, or more commonly known as the Frog King from Shrek. I also found my first of many chests of the series. I am probably going to have to open more than 10,000 of these to get all the set items that can be found in the different zones. After a while, I reached the Prophet's cell, and after freeing him, I made it out of Coldharbour and ended up in Khenarthi's Rhoost, because my alliance is of course with the Aldmeri Dominion. When I first went outside, this guy really wanted to duel me for some reason, so I gave in and accepted it, because PvP is something I don't usually do, but I do want to play more of it. After dueling them, I got an achievement for beating him, but I would need to win 99 more for another 2 dueling related achievements. As you can already tell, this video is more so setting up for what's to come in the future, and so I have made myself a to-do list that I need to get done before I start the first zone. First on the list, our drip. We cannot be adventuring around Tamriel in these clothes. I mean, come on, look at them, they're terrible. So I have to get these sorted above all else. Here we are, that's better. This outfit cost me 3,500 gold in order to apply it to my character, and in order to pay for it I used the money from my bank. However, this is the only time I'm going to allow myself to use this money. From now on, everything needs to be earned on this new character, so if I manage to get 5,000 subscribers by the end of the year, I will give away 5 million gold to one person and 1 million each to 2 other people. Yes, I know I'm basically bribing people to subscribe to my channel, but I literally have no idea what to do with this money. It will just be sitting in the bank doing nothing. But now for the next thing I have to do is to get a companion, but not just any companion. I need to have Sharp as Knight with me because of how useful his passive ability is. For those who don't know, Sharp as Knight is an Argonian companion that can be found during a quest in the Talvani Peninsula, and his bonus is that when you fish with him around, you get a slightly better chance of catching a rare fish, which is huge considering I need to catch every single one. I know that I have to travel to a different zone, but I'm giving myself 3 exceptions before I actually begin the first zone, and this is the first exception. The first half of the quest is pretty straightforward and is mostly just dialogue, with us finding out that Sharp is a mercenary and has lost his memory at one point in his life. I made sure that whilst adventuring through the zone to try and make as little progress as possible. I even skipped over a sky shard that was pretty much taunting me. The quest eventually led me into a public dungeon, which for those who don't know are dungeons that are more difficult than the shorter delves that can be found around the zones. I was a bit worried that I may have to just keep dying and push towards the quest marker, but I actually did way better than I thought and managed to fight off some of the enemies. Honestly, I didn't even do too bad. Anyway, we get to the end of the quest where we find out that Sharp was actually a slave for someone called the Reformer. But the Reformer will have to wait because now that I have Sharp, I could do the next step on the checklist. So the next step is to reach level 50. This may seem like a weird choice, but I do have a few reasons for it. Firstly, I plan on doing as much stuff as I can solo, including public dungeons and stuff similar to that. I want to be able to do world bosses, especially solo, because sometimes I can be waiting 30 to 45 minutes just for someone to come and give me a hand. Some of the world bosses can be done solo even without good gear, but I want to be efficient with my time and not have to worry about it. Secondly, I want all the XP I get from the zones to go directly toward my CP level rather than the main level. It's a minor reason, but it's still something I just prefer. So how am I going to go about getting to level 50 quickly? Well, there are a few ways, but I decided to run the Alike Desert Dolmens. Whilst it isn't the fastest way to get to level 50 in the game, it is still a decent method, and on the day I started this character was the Jester event, meaning there was double XP active. I put up a timer to see how long it would take me to get to the max level. After around 1 hour of just grinding the dolmens, I reached just over level 15. But even though it was double XP, I wasn't using any additional XP scrolls, which I should have done to begin with because they do actually stack. So after this, I made sure to do that to save some time. The dolmens did get boring pretty fast, but the reason I wanted to do it this way is because there are always people running the dolmens, and it doesn't require my full attention as I could watch some videos or some movies whilst leveling. After around the 4-hour mark, I was level 31 and I actually realised that I forgot to do something. So I made my way to the final and last exception zone, which is Oridon. When I got here, I made my way to the Mages and Fighters guild halls in order to join them and get their skill lines. This is important to do so as one of the skills I need for my build is unlocked at level 8 of the Fighters guild line, and a good way to level it up is through running dolmens. So with all these now done, I returned to the desert and continued grinding for XP, and it took another 5 or so hours to finally get to level 50. Now that I was at level 50, I had a decision to make. Either stay here whilst I can and grind all the skill lines and skill morphs to max level, or go to Bleak Rock and get locked in that zone, ready to start the series. After some time thinking about it, I decided to stay because I thought it might be a good idea to get all these skill lines done now, considering there are others such as the Vampire, Psijic Order and Scrying skill lines that are way more tedious and grindy to max out. Plus I got some achievements for doing some of them, and after all that is one of the goals. How long can it really take to max out some combat and class related skills? Well, it turns out it takes extremely long, and I definitely did not foresee it taking this long. A whole extra 44 hours it took me to max all skills and skill morphs. Was this a good idea? I don't know, but I'm just glad it's over. One other reason I decided to continue running the dolmens is because just as I was making the decision, the Jester event was coming to an end, but a new one started. That being the Jubilee Anniversary event, which still had bonus XP, but also awarded me with Jubilee Anniversary boxes that had a chance to drop some rare items including crafting motifs and furnishing plans. At the end of this first video, I had 17 new achievements that I unlocked over the course of getting my character from the start to level 50 and getting all of the skills to max level. All of the achievements that I earned will be on the screen right now, and I'll put them at the end of each video. As you can now see, we are locked into Bleak Rock. Now that I am here, I cannot leave until this zone is 100%ed and I'll move on to the next one. I'm still quite ill and I apologise for that, but hopefully for the next video I will be better. As you can see, I have over 370,000 gold in the bottom right there, but what I spend that money on will be showcased in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please leave a like, as this is going to be a crazy journey, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one.